Ladies and gentlemen, it is March. Today is one of my favorite days of the year, Selection Sunday. And tonight we're taking you across the DMV to College Park, where both the Maryland men's and women's basketball teams are getting ready for the madness. In Northern Virginia, the George Mason women's team, fresh off an Atlantic 10 title, Patriots hoping to continue their hot play. And we're taking you into the district, the American Eagles men's basketball team, dancing for the first time in over a decade. We'll break it all down tonight on Game Night.
The only 7-day-a-week sports show in the DMV. From DC News Now, this is Game Night.
Nothing like that feeling of seeing your name pop across that screen for the NCAA tournament. You gotta love that. Welcome into Game Night. I'm your host tonight, Alex Flum. The madness is here, and this year's men's and women's NCAA tournaments are shaping up to be very interesting and a great year for our local teams. And we've got some guests in house and reporters in the field tonight. Tiger Munn is live tonight in College Park at the Xfinity Center, while Jake Rahm is stationed out at Eagle Bank Arena in Fairfax. We will get to both of you guys soon, but first, let's jump right into where our local teams are heading, and we start with the Maryland Terrapins men's basketball team. The Terps putting together one of their best seasons in this century, earning a number 4 seed in the West region. The Terps will take on 13th seed Grand Canyon. That game scheduled for Friday. This is their highest seeding since they were a 4 seed back in 2015. So the matchup set for Maryland Friday at 4:35 p.m. Eastern Time, Climate Pledge Arena in Seattle. This is Grand Canyon's 4th trip to the tournament in 5 years under head coach Bryce Drew. Last season as a 12 seed, they did upset 5th seed St. Mary's in the round of 64. The winner of this matchup will meet 5 seed Memphis or 12 seed Colorado State. Florida is the number 1 seed in the region. For the Maryland women's basketball team, it's been a season of challenges and up and down moments. Entering Selection Sunday, it seemed like the Terps would be heading on the road for the tournament. But how about this? The Terps earning a number 4 seed, which means they will host the first 2 rounds in College Park. The Terps are set to face 13th seed Norfolk State, and you can see the smiles from Brenda Fries and her team. And how could they not be smiling the way things have shaken out for them here with this seeding? This is the 15th straight trip to the NCAA tournament for Maryland under Fries. The Terps bowed out in the first round last year, but made a run all the way to the Elite 8 back in 2023. This matchup will be Saturday at the Xfinity Center. We're waiting on the official start time. The Spartans just won the MEAC for the 4th straight year, beating Howard in the title game. The other matchup here in College Park in that round of 64, Alabama against Green Bay, South Carolina, is the bracket's 1 seed in that region. So why don't we head out to College Park? Tiger Munn hearing from both the men's and women's teams tonight at the Xfinity Center. Tiger, let's start with the women. What was their reaction to hosting? Did they seem surprised?
Well, Alex, if to begin with, when their name was called, this place went crazy and the players were so excited. But, of course, Maryland fans, they knew that they're going to have teams in this dance. It's just a matter of where and to what song. The men's and women's team both waiting to hear their name called on Selection Sunday. The men's team, they held a private viewing for their selection, but the women's team, they let fans into Xfinity Center, and when their name was called, this place went bonkers. Now, this is the 15th straight appearance for the women's team, like you mentioned, Alex, and they're ready for the challenge of going into the tournament. They'll host Norfolk State in the first round, and here's what Coach Brenda Fries and senior Cheyenne Sellers had to say about making the tournament this year.
You know, to be selected as one of the best 16 teams in the country to be able to host is an honor, but one that these guys have, have put a lot of hard work into. And I know for us, we want to continue this season as long as we can.
I have some of the best teammates in the world. I have all my trust in them, trust in the staff. We've put in a ton of work. Like I said, the Big Ten tournament wasn't us. We're walking in with a chip on our shoulder.
And you heard it right there. The women's team is ready, but the men's team, they'll also be the 4th seed, and they'll be playing Grand Canyon. Now, last year, the men's team, they didn't make the tournament. They didn't make the dance, but they say this year this team is different, and they're ready to take on the challenges of March.
Just playing it, taking it one game at a time. I feel like we was kind of I saw how bent on the win against West Virginia. We was kind of celebrating that a little bit, and we weren't focused on the next. And I feel like now we take a different approach to that. We'll be good this tournament.
They're extremely confident in their individual skills, but I think we've talked a lot about, as a staff and as a team together, about the importance of having a team attitude. And I think these guys have built a very strong team attitude. Where they believe in each other and they're going to work for each other. I like where this program is. I love where the program's going. I love the kids we have in it. March doesn't necessarily define that, but we definitely want to take on March.
And you heard it right there. It's very exciting for Maryland fans. The men's team, they'll be playing Friday, March 21st against Grand Canyon, and the women's team a Saturday, and they'll be playing against Norfolk State. And that will do it here at Xfinity Center. Sending things back to you, Alex, in studio.
Thank you, Tiger. And I will not ask you where Syracuse is going in the tournament this year. For those of you at home, Tiger went to Syracuse. I went to Maryland. It's okay. Sorry. Anyway, get home safe. We'll see in a little bit. Now, rumors had been surfacing this weekend that Villanova is interested in hiring Kevin Willard. Whether those rumors are true or not, John Rothstein reporting that the University of Maryland is now working on a new contract with Willard that would make him one of the top 10 highest paid coaches in all of college basketball. Willard addressing those rumors tonight.
We're on the same page of what we want to do for this program, what we want to do for this university. His focus and my focus are exactly the same. So our focus right now is strictly the NCAA tournament and this team. But all I can say to that is that me and Damon are on the same page, and we always have been.
We will be watching that at Capital One Arena earlier this afternoon. George Mason men's basketball looking to punch their ticket to the big dance as they play the top seed VCU in the Atlantic 10 tournament final. Patriots in their first A10 title game in program history. There's Tony Skinn leading the way. Rams up early in the first half. Jalen Haynes pulling up from three and knocking it down. 17 points, 8 boards for the big man, but VCU taking that lead into the half off the missed shot. Max Shulga puts it in before the buzzer. Patriots down 8 at the break. We go to the second half. More back and forth. Darius Maddox knocks down the wide open three. He finished with 12. Mason Nation loving it there, but the Rams were too much. Shulga drops 18 for VCU. The Patriots come up short in this game. George Mason with a chance late to tie, but off the mark. Patriots lose 68-63, coming so close, but missing out on the NCAA tournament.
That just showed you how strong this league is and how deserving George Mason is for an NCAA tournament bid. You almost have to be flawless in this league to make it to the NCAA tournament. These guys have competed all season long. I'm proud of them.
I mean, it's so soon. Our guys show up every day. They work hard. They put in extra work. We compete. We win ball games. So it's tough.
So the Patriot men miss out on the NCAA tournament, but they're not done. They will be playing postseason basketball, earning the 2 seed in the NIT tournament, the Dayton Regional, and will host Samford Wednesday at 7 p.m. at Eagle Bank Arena. As for the George Mason women, after winning the Atlantic 10 Conference tournament a week ago, they sat comfortably knowing they were in the big dance for the first time in program history. The team holding a watch party at Eagle Bank Arena in Fairfax tonight. Here was their reaction to finding out where they're going. The Patriots heading to Baton Rouge as an 11 seed as they will take on the 6th seed Florida State from the ACC. So that matchup is set. George Mason will take on the Florida State Seminoles. That game versus Florida State in Louisiana Saturday, that time to be announced. And joining us now from Eagle Bank Arena is Jake Raw, Mr. George Mason over there. Jake, the Patriots are dancing in the bayou.
Yeah, Alex, it was excitement, ecstatic, everything you can kind of imagine for a team that did not have to sit here today and hope that they made this NCAA tournament like they were hoping a season ago. Ticket was punched a week ago from today, and it was a lot of excitement, but this team knowing that now the focus turns to Louisiana as they will take on Florida State, the 6th seed in that LSU regional. And it's not just a road trip. It is a business trip, and that's exactly what the team said after they found out where they were going.
We're just going to go to win. We have a lot of confidence in our team, and we're just going to go out there and play our best game.
40 minutes of competitive and faithful basketball. We are going to play hard. We are a good team just like they're a good team, so the same way we have to scout them, they have to scout us, and just know that we're going to come out and compete for 40 minutes and come out wanting to win.
Our girls we don't look at the front of the jersey. We just go play. And so I think they're going to get a formidable team coming out to Louisiana, for sure.
So George Mason breaking almost every record imaginable this year. Most wins, most conference wins, if you include the ones they got in the A-10 tournament. And the slogan all year was Believe Big. Now they have shirts saying Believed Big. Now it's time to win big down in Louisiana as they take on Florida State, the 6th seed, on Saturday. That's going to do it here from Eagle Bank Arena. Alex, back to you in studio.
Thank you, Jake. And nobody has covered George Mason out there better than Jake the last several years. Going to keep it going here. We'll see how the Patriots do in the tournament. Jake, get home safe. Here in the district, the American Eagles men's basketball team, fresh off their Patriot League title win, ready to find out where they're heading in the big dance. The Eagles are going to the first four in Dayton, where they'll meet Mount St. Mary's, and you can see their reaction here. Very impressive for head coach Dwayne Simpkins in his second season leading AU to the tournament for the first time since 2014. Eagles have been on fire with center Matt Rogers leading the way on the court. So this matchup set for 6:40 p.m. in Dayton on Wednesday, and the winner will face Duke, the #1 seed in the East region in the round of 64. Whether Cooper Flagg will play in that game, we will see. But the Eagles hoping to shock the world.
Got a tremendous amount of resilience, man. And in today's basketball landscape and college basketball, if you can have a veteran team that is tough and they play together, I firmly believe that you can beat anybody on any given night. Look at Oakland last year, going up against Kentucky. Kentucky had some pros in the team, but they were young. We've got some veteran leadership, and Cooper Flagg maybe not playing will help, So, but we'll see. We're going to focus on Mount St. Mary's in the meantime.
The leadership that we have on the team, senior leadership, we're an older group. The way we play on offense and on defense, we're aggressive on defense. We get a lot of shots up in offense. We play fast, so you never know. In March, anything can happen, and I'm just excited to get out there and showcase what we can do.
Real quick, here are the other teams in the region heading to the big dance. On the men's side, VCU, 11 seed in the East, Norfolk State, 16 in the West. For the women, West Virginia, a 6 seed, Richmond, an 8 seed, and Liberty earning a 13 seed. Well, coming up on the show, we've got some experts, local sports experts in-house to talk March Madness, taking a deeper dive into the tournament, men's and women's. We'll be right back. Welcome back into Game Night. Thrilled to be joined on the couch here by Joe Yasharoff, News Director of Montgomery Community Media, and Steve House, current Athletic Director of Good Counsel, former head coach of Catholic men's basketball. Great to have both of you in studio tonight.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks. It's a great time of year.
And I said local experts. You guys are the local experts.
Okay.
I want to start with the Maryland women's basketball team. I know both of you guys know a lot about that. Steve, let's start with the team they're hosting. And a lot of us are surprised to see that they got a top 4 seed. Are you surprised tonight?
I'm pleasantly surprised, yes, given the way the Big Ten tournament went. But this is a team that has beaten big teams this year, from Ohio State at the end to Duke in the beginning. This is a team that has the starting 5, and still, even with the injury to Bree McDaniel, has a bench that I think can carry them deep into the tournament.
And you see the men's team here. Let's see, we get that Maryland women's team video up instead. Joe, on the end here, Brenda Frese, it seems like no matter the struggles she has every year, finds a way to get the Terps in a position to succeed. So what do you think about the job Brenda's done this year and what they could do in the tournament here coming up Norfolk State at home?
We say this every year. She's amazing. She's a Hall of Famer. What can you say? With the injuries, and then Shy Sellers goes down briefly during the year. She's amazing. I was stunned that they got a 4th seed after getting blown out by Michigan. And that's a huge deal. If you're not a 4th seed, then you're not on home. So now they have 2 home games, hopefully. And I think that's a big deal. So Brenda Frese, she's amazing.
And now let's talk about the men. The Maryland men this year has been fun, to say the least. Kevin Willard, they're saying they might pay him like a top 10 coach in college basketball now. How far can the Terps go? Joe, we'll start with you this time.
I think they can go far, despite having not much of a bench. I mean, there are many games where they have no points off the bench, or 2 points, just like the loss to Michigan a couple days yesterday. I think their starting 5 is that good. The Crab 5. I'm still getting used to that nickname, but they have the talent, and I think they got it going. I think it's not bad to, having lost to Michigan, a little kick in the pants before the tournament, the big tournament. So I think they could get to the Sweet 16, maybe even the Elite 8.
I agree. They've got everything in that starting lineup you want. Size, the guard play, but as you pointed out, will the bench come through?
Yeah.
And against Illinois in the Big Ten tournament, they got some exposure and they performed very well. If they can do that, because the whistle will tighten in March in the next few weeks. So there will be someone that has to step up for the Terps coming off that bench to step in for somebody who gets in foul trouble or maybe a poor performance.
14-4 in the last 18 games, all 4 losses coming on buzzer beaters in the closing seconds. Real quick, I want to talk about American University men's basketball getting a 16 seed. It's been more than a decade since they've been in the tournament. What does this mean to that university to be in the tournament?
The exposure for the university, it's incredible. This is, all the eyes are on them now. And so Dwayne Simpkins has done something that I think is remarkable. The way he developed them this year. I saw them in the preseason. I did not see them as a 20-win team. He's nurtured that team, and Matt Rogers, what a dynamite
He's a heck of a player, and the point guard looks like Dwayne Simpkins, at least to me. I remember covering Dwayne Simpkins when he was at Maryland, so very happy for the AU community, and we all know David Aldridge, and the AU's #1 fan, and this is huge, the exposure, as you said, Steve. So, they got another local team that they're playing, and hopefully they can advance and then get a chance to play Cooper Flag, maybe, and Duke.
Hey, you never know. You guys were ridiculing me before the show, but you never know. 16 seed, it's happened twice before. It could happen a third time. You never know. Of course, we want to give some love to George Mason women's basketball team getting ready for their run as well. But let's jump into the Final Four picks. Joe, we'll start with you. Let's hear, who do you got? Start with your men's Final Four. Let's hear it.
It's hard not to go chalk, but not completely chalk. Michigan State, Tom Izzo, how do you bet against him in March? You can't. In fact, I'm picking Michigan State next year also in the Final Four with the 2 local guys that they got. And then St. John's this year, Rick Pitino, the hands-down coach of the year. And then I got Duke on the other side playing Kentucky. And then I've got Michigan State beating Duke for the championship.
And real quick, your women's as well.
Women's, okay, so UCLA beating UConn, South Carolina beating Texas, UCLA with all the gals from Sidwell Friends, including Kiki Rice. UCLA, your champions this year.
All right, Steve, your men's Final Four.
Michigan State and St. John's, Houston and Duke. I believe Houston plays St. John's in the final, and Rick Pitino gets it done in New York.
Bold pick. And your women's?
Women's like UCLA and UConn. Can't go against Page with UConn. South Carolina and Texas on the other side, with South Carolina beating UConn.
All right, I'll give you my Final Four real quick on the men's side. Michigan State, Florida, Duke, and Gonzaga. Bit of a bold pick there. Florida over Duke in the final. For my women's Final Four, I've got UCLA with the local girls from Sidwell, Duke with Jaden Donovan, who also went to Sidwell. That'll be a fun Final Four matchup. USC, of course, Southern California on the other side, and TCU got UCLA over USC, the Big Ten, former Pac-12, Pac-10, whatever the heck you want to call it, matchup in the championship. Well, we'll have a lot more coming up, more with Joe and Steve later in the show. But first up, we're going to be talking to Patrick Stevens, bracketologist and Washington Post contributor, more about the bracket. That's coming up next. Welcome back into Game Night. We are now going to take a deeper dive into the men's basketball bracket this year. We're going to bring on an expert bracketologist and contributor to the Washington Post, Patrick Stevens. Nobody covers college basketball in the area like him. Patrick, let's jump right into it with Maryland men's basketball getting that #4 seed. Is that where you expected them to be coming into Selection Sunday? Is that the right spot for them in this tournament based on what you saw?
Yeah, I think a #4 seed is exactly where Maryland should be. That's where I thought they were going to be coming into the day. The day really didn't change a whole lot on that front. I am a little surprised to see them shipped out west for that first weekend, not necessarily the second, but the first weekend. It feels as if the committee might have basically locked in some of the top 4 or 5 lines or so even before the conference tournament began out in Indianapolis, because I really felt like Maryland's overall profile, both before and after the Big Ten tournament, was better than Purdue's, and Purdue ends up with that slot in Providence, which would have been a much friendlier spot for Maryland to at least start out its run on the East Coast rather than having to go out west.
I'm hearing a lot of people saying they're not helping my Terps, sending them to Seattle. Do you think? I mean, why do you think the committee made that decision to put Purdue over Maryland?
Well, I think they made the evaluation before the conference tournament even started. That I think is the most logical way of looking at it. But if there's any solace for a Maryland fan out there, I want to remind those folks that back in 2001, when Maryland made its first Final Four appearance, they went to Boise and then on to Anaheim, staying out west. in a year that sort of spawned the pod system, because George Mason and Georgetown and Maryland and Hampton were all out in Boise playing, and instead they wound up splitting things up like we've had for the last 20 years or so. So I think for Maryland it's certainly possible to be able to make a run out west. And I think, frankly, when you're kind of looking at it, you figure the travel won't be quite as bad, because it's really unlikely that they're going to come back home week to week if they do happen to get through the 2 games in Seattle.
Well, Patrick Stevens, thank you so much for joining us. Everybody, you can follow Patrick's coverage. I'll have some content coming up in the Washington Post leading up to this NCAA tournament. Patrick, thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having me.
And we will be right back with more after this. Welcome back. It is March Madness, so we got to talk about John Feinstein unexpectedly passing away on Thursday. Legendary sports journalist and author. Joe, I know you had a relationship with him. If you could share your words about him.
Knew him for over 30 years. I'm still shocked, still sad. One of the greatest sports writers of all time. My favorite sports writer of all time. He wrote over 40 books. I own about 25 of them. In college basketball was his thing. He just loved it. And this time of year, it's weird and sad to not have him. And I'm going to miss him dearly. He was very nice to me and my family.
I'm going to miss him and his writing. A Season on the Brink got me hooked on college basketball.
And I always say he definitely played a role in me wanting to get into sports journalism. I read his books as well, his novels, his Washington Post columns. Just an incredible career. Awesome to see everything he did in his life. Joe, Steve, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you right back here, same time tomorrow.